This is ARC PDX.
Welcome back to the final ARC PDX of 2025, everybody. I'm Wesley Ogle.
And I'm Daryl Burke. We begin with more of the hottest topics on our feeds right now.
And we're excited about this one.
Oh, yeah.
The Oregon Ducks are making their final preparations ahead of their college football playoff quarterfinal matchup against Texas Tech. They arrived in Miami on Monday for the Orange Bowl, and yesterday was media day.
So this morning, we're talking with the experts to catch up on everything we all need to know ahead of tomorrow's big game. So joining us live this morning is Max Torres with On3 Sports. Max, I know you've been busy. How's everything going?
Everything's going well. A lot of folks are excited for this one. Oregon did get a playoff win to start things off, and that's a step in the right direction after last year in the Rose Bowl. So really excited to cover this one and can't wait for it all to come together.
Yeah, hey, Max, let's start with this. What have you been hearing about the final preparations happening currently?
Yeah, so for Oregon, this one, it's been a little bit of a change from previous games. Obviously, last year they drew the top seed, so there's been some tweaks kind of behind the scenes. That's been a big theme of the press conferences that I've been covering for this one with Oregon and Dan Lanning, is just how they have changed their preparations from last year when they fell to Ohio State in the Rose Bowl, had that huge layoff about a whole month after the Big Ten title game. So Lanning's been asked about it, and he hasn't really gotten into too much specifics, but I've been hearing that they were cranking up the heat in the Michovsky Center, the indoor facility out in Eugene, before they went out to Miami to try to prepare for the weather out there in the Sunshine State. So there's a lot of excitement, but Oregon is trying not to make this game, any bigger than it is, and just keep doing what they've been doing all year and show up.
So what are going to be the keys to the game for the Ducks? Let's start with offense.
Yeah, offensively, I think it's really about finding a rhythm. They really executed well in the first half against JMU, but it was kind of a tale of two halves, right? I think the feeling coming out of that game when I was in Eugene at Autzen Stadium was that it was a win, but it almost had a tone of a loss because they had kind of let their foot off the gas a little bit. So I think it's really about finding a rhythm, which I think that this group definitely has, getting Dante Moore in a groove early, and then playing behind that big offensive line, which has a bit of a chip on their shoulder after not winning the Joe Moore Award. They were finalists for the third straight year, and they just want to come out and put their best foot forward in this game against Texas Tech.
And Max, we know Texas Tech has been firing on all cylinders offensively all year long. So what are the keys on the defensive end of the ball?
Yeah, Texas Tech can do a lot of different things to hurt you. So I think one of the big things that I'm going to be looking for this Oregon defense, it really starts with stopping the run. But even more than that, I think it's getting some pressure on Baron Morton, the Texas Tech quarterback. Oregon's been a group that has really been effective as a defense, but they haven't necessarily put up the sack numbers that we've seen from a season ago when they were one of the best defenses in the country. So if there were ever a game for Oregon's defensive line to really step up and wreak some havoc, get disruptive in the backfield, I think it's this game. But Oregon's secondary has also been really good this year. Brandon Finney Jr. is probably the best true freshman cornerback in the country. So I think that with the group that they have there, you want to be stepping up to grab some interceptions and kind of beat Texas Tech at their own game. They have one of the best turnover margins in the playoff field this year. So Oregon's defense has to stop the run early and then take advantage of the opportunities to really seize that momentum. I think this could very much be a game where it could come down to whoever forces a turnover and is able to convert that into some points could come out on top.
Interesting. Is there a particular matchup in this game that you're keeping an eye on?
Yeah, I think I'm looking at Oregon's offensive line against just really the Texas Tech front seven. You have David Bailey coming off the edge. He is a Southern California native, which is where I'm based. I covered him a little bit at Mater Dei when he was coming out of high school, and he has quickly become one of the best defensive players in the country. So this Oregon offensive line, they probably haven't faced a defensive front like this since that game against Indiana in early October. Their only blemish on their schedule for the 2025 season. So I'm really going to keep my eye on how that offensive line comes out and how they navigate that pass rush from Texas Tech on New Year's Day.
All right, Max, hey, we got to get your score prediction. So what are you thinking?
Ooh, for me, I think this could be a close game, but I do see Oregon coming out on top. I'm going to go 31-21 Oregon. But if Oregon is able to find that rhythm early and, get off the field on 3rd and 4th downs, I think that could go a long way. They have not had the best 3rd and 4th down defense this year, and that's kind of resulted in some sustained drives. So if Oregon's playing at their best, I think I really have a hard time picking against them in this one against Texas Tech in the Orange Bowl.
Love your prediction. And where can people find you if they want to keep up with your work?
Yeah, you can find me on social media at mtorresports, and I'm also doing all my writing over at scoopduck.com with the On3 network.
Awesome. Max Torres with On3 Sports, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're very excited for the game.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
This is ARC PDX.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the final ARC PDX of 2025. I'm Wesley Ogle.
And I'm Daryl Burke. Can you believe we're kissing 2025 goodbye?
I'm happy
And we
about
begin
it.
with more of the hottest topics on our feeds right now.
Yep, and our favorite topic right now, the Oregon Ducks are making their final preparations ahead of their college football playoff quarterfinal matchup against Texas Tech. They arrived in Miami on Monday for the Orange Bowl, and yesterday was media day.
So this morning, we're talking with the experts to catch up on everything we all need to know ahead of tomorrow's big game. So joining us live this morning is Tyson Alger with Lookout Eugene-Springfield and the I-5 corridor. Tyson, how are you this morning? I'm so glad we got you on.
Hey, I'm doing good, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, you were at this joint head coach press conference a little bit ago. What did Coach Dan Lanning have to say?
He didn't say a whole lot different than what he said yesterday. They had about a 30-minute press conference yesterday. So today was kind of like a lot of repeat questions about the break that they've had between like the JMU game and this, about Oregon's health, about Dante Moore. But ultimately, they're very excited for this opportunity. You know, like they have reached the place that they got to last year, and they have bigger goals than that. So like, this is the Orange Bowl. It is festive. It is New Year's Eve here. It'll be New Year's Day tomorrow. But ultimately, this is a business trip for the Ducks, and they are approaching it as so.
Mm-hmm. And I want to talk about media day yesterday, because I was following your tweets and your live blog. What is maybe like one main thing that you learned or heard or saw that like really stood out to you yesterday?
You know, it was interesting because that's like one of the first chances that we get to have like a lot of one-on-ones with these guys. So a few different nuggets I picked up. I was talking to defensive coordinator Tosh Lupoy, who has been juggling 2 jobs this December as he's about to head out to Cal to become their head coach. And he works with Oregon during the day. He works at Cal during the night. I asked him, "Is sleep important to you?" And he told me, "No, it's a bunch of BS. It's a placebo effect." So this Oregon staff does not believe in sleep science. I'm writing a Dante Moore profile today where I was talking to offensive coordinator Will Stein just about that year that Dante Moore sat behind Dylan Gabriel last year. And he was saying that there were moments where he was like, how is this Dante Moore guy going to be on the bench for us? He's so good right now. So yeah, it was just kind of like a fun day of picking up different nuggets from both Texas Tech and Oregon as they prepare for this game.
Hey, Tyson, give us a sense of how preparations have gone. How have some of these practices been going for the Ducks ahead of tomorrow's big game?
Yeah, it's been interesting because like last year they had like such a long layoff between the Big Ten championship game and the Rose Bowl with Ohio State. So they've been kind of pacing themselves throughout this year. They returned to their practice field the day after Christmas. They flew out here on Monday, and we went out to Barry University yesterday to watch the first 15 minutes of them practice yesterday. And, you know, we're not able to see a whole lot other than just kind of like a glorified stretch session, but it did seem like a lot of the Ducks that we've been concerned about the last month or so in terms of injuries, DeCorian Moore, Gary Bryant Jr., they were out there and practicing and they looked healthy. So I think largely like this is a focused and healthy Oregon team coming into this game against Texas Tech.
Okay, speaking of healthy, did you see Evan Stewart out there?
Yeah, we want to know. I know he's a big-time pass catcher.
Yeah, so Evan Stewart is officially listed as out for this game. He did not practice on Tuesday. He was at the team's media day session yesterday, but it's still kind of up in the air. They tried to give it a go last week against James Madison. He said it's close, but it's just not, you know, for a guy who hasn't played a snap this season. I think it's a lot of expectations to put on him to expect him to come into the playoff in this atmosphere and to contribute. So they're not ready to rule him out for potentially the next 2 weeks, but obviously they have to get to the next 2 weeks first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great point.
Tyson, we got to get this one in. I'm from South Florida. You're in my neck of the woods, so I'm familiar with the humidity down there and how hot things get. I do know the Ducks have to prepare for this, of course. They've been doing a few things like, you know, obviously they're changing time zones in the warmer climate. Do you expect that to play a role at all, and have the players, you know, had enough time to adjust?
Guys, it was cold this morning. It was like 40. It was like 41 degrees.
Like here.
I got a little. I got a little chilly. I think game time temperature is supposed to be in like the mid 60s to 70s, so I don't think that's going to be a huge issue. It is a really early kickoff time, but like if there's one thing that this Oregon team's like good at or used to, it's flying east for games. That's kind of what comes with being in the Big Ten now. So this won't be the first early game the Ducks have played this season. It won't be the first game on the East Coast they've played this season. So I think at this point, as Dan Lanning said, if there's a team that's prepared for it, it's Oregon.
They've had a lot of practice the last 2 years. Okay, so what is on the schedule for the rest of today? What are you doing? What are the Ducks doing today and maybe tomorrow morning before the game?
Yeah, so they just finished that joint press conference, and now they're kind of basically it's Wednesday, but they're calling this Friday. It's both teams' Fast Friday, so they're going to be going through like walkthroughs and final meetings. But in terms of like media availabilities and stuff, like we're done now. So I'm writing like my final big feature for that's going to come out later today, and then it's Miami. It's New Year's. I got to find something, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, I
so
can give you a couple of ideas once we get off air, my man.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. Hey, any score predictions? What are you thinking right now as we currently sit here a day before the game?
We're going to go 38-28 Oregon.
Okay.
It's going to be a little bit higher scoring than I think a lot of people are expecting.
I like that.
Yeah.
I support this. And where can people follow you and find the rest of your work?
Yeah, they can just find me on my socials. Like it's at Tyson Alger on the various different platforms. But also, if you check out i5corridor.com or look out Eugene-Springfield.com, you can find me there.
Tyson Alger, thank you so much for joining us. Have the best time tonight going out in Miami. And
I was going to say, hey, man, we'll connect after this so I can give you a couple ideas. There's Club 11, there's this club, that club, if you're into that lifestyle, of course.
Yeah, if you could do a wellness check on me tomorrow morning, just to make sure that like I'm on the bus for the shuttle.
We'll we got to get you to the game, man.
Tyson, thank you so much. Have the best time.
Hey, thank you, guys.